We're live on Facebook on we're on 5 channels, 5 platforms this morning. Okay, so we are at 7 a.m. We'll be 72 hours away from we'll already be open. Brittany's in, Melinda's in. Hold on, my phone's. We'll be there with our stuff around 1:30 or 2, okay? The Cleburne bunch is coming today at 1:30 or 2. Yesterday, Sandy Flowers and I were talking early, 5:30 in the morning, because I'd called her the day before. They were having rehearsals and stuff. So anyway, so she reached out to me and I told her, I said, all of this stuff in the museum needs to be sorted out, so we don't have to sort it out over at Farrington in the dark at 5 o'clock in the morning. So she came and spent pretty much all day here and got it all bagged up and all fixed up, and she's got each bag a piece of tape or something on it that identifies it. So all I've got to do now is myself and Sam McNeese, and I'll probably need one other, or me and Sam can make another trip. Friday we will take our stuff from here over to Farrington, and then Sam's going to babysit the inventory. I'll be there a while, because the first load of bikes should be in by about 5 o'clock or 5:30 Friday evening. It's going to take 20-30 trips to get these bikes in, and that's with 6 trailers. So this is a massive undertaking. It's not too late. We need toys, and more toys. Footballs, basketballs, soccer balls. So it's never too late. You can make a donation, you can drop one off. We'll go shopping. We're taking stuff in all the way till Friday. There's a chance of rain. It was in, then yesterday they took it out, now it's back in. Who knows if it's going to rain? The event will go on. It's going to happen. We're like the postman. Rain, sleet, or snow, we're going to deliver the toys and the bikes. So volunteers, bring your rain gear in case it starts to rain, but it will not, we can't reschedule it. The insurance is set for that day. Fort Worth ISD is set for that day. We now have several news agencies saying that day, so the event will happen. All I can tell you is I need about 4 or 5 hours out of your lives for the volunteers. 5 at probably the most. I'm going to try to get it open at 6:30. There's a lot of people involved in this event this year, besides the volunteers, the board, different businesses. Jeff Schusler with Site Barricades. He's a big part of this operation. He's going to set up the lanes over there, his company, so that everybody will have their lanes marked off. Out of our group, we need somebody to help Bill Palmer and Jeff Petrie as the order takers. Tino has signed on with Sandy Flowers and Sherry Holt. They're going to be with the toys. And also Sherry Holt, somebody had come on and told us about these tamales. Sherry Holt always brings food. So she said, I bought 60 pork tamales and 60 beef tamales at Basham Foods. They are frozen, so I'll thaw them out on Friday and heat them overnight on Friday. So thank you, Sherry Holt. And people will bring kolaches, donuts, whatever, for the volunteers. We will have the restroom facilities at the Billingsley Fieldhouse. Fort Worth ISD provides us a employee to open those doors by 6 a.m. The insurance is set. We've got a 20-hour policy or a 24-hour policy that's real expensive also. So everything's set, regardless of what happens, short of a nuclear war, where the event will happen. Good morning to everybody. So we need toys, either toys or make a donation and we'll go buy. You can go to Ollie's. Melinda said she went to Ollie's yesterday. Five and Below, Target, Walmart. The Mattel toy outlet is open today, tomorrow, and Friday. They're at 501 Meacham. That's 50% off. Ollie's, I think, goes up to 70% off. Big Lots, Dollar General. I mean, there's all kinds of places you can buy stuff. So be part of something special. We're going to give away almost double what the biggest I'd ever given away. 840 was the biggest in 1989. We don't have a real count yet, but there's 1,100 in that warehouse. We got a trailer full of 100. That's 1,200. Firefighters are bringing 50. That's 1,250. We domino counted it. Quincy's group. We've got more out at Lockheed. I'm thinking it's going to be around $1,400. Michael, good morning. So, everybody, you can do your part. If you haven't given or if you can't give or whatever, pray for us. We need all the prayers we can get. So, every year, one of our members, and I'll tell you his name later, not today. Anyway, he is a very giving person, gave big to our museum, our bike giveaway, wrote a check for $5,000. Every year he gives $1,000 to 10 families that are really in need. So when I was talking to James Novak and Belle Haddad, Cops for Kids, I said, you know, I've got, this person also lets me select 2 families. And I said, do y'all know somebody that's really in need? And they both immediately said, yeah. A young man was at a Fort Worth PD mentoring school or class over on the east side. And this was a month ago. His name was Apollo, 12 years old. Car ran over him and killed him. He was on his bicycle going home. So I reached out to our member, and that should have happened yesterday. And then there's another NPO officer that is going to call me and tell me about another family that's in dire needs. So Richard Carr is the man. Thank you, Richard. That's what we need, more Richard Carrs. Anyway, so the event will happen. If it's raining, it's just volunteers. Bring your rain gear. You got to have something that you're wearing, because you're not going to be able to give out bikes and toys and helmets with an umbrella, unless you got one of those hats that's an umbrella. Anyway, so we've got lots of stuff going on. We're not working on cars this week. We do have the gift certificate, detail certificate, half price working. So I don't have a clue what. I get more weird messages. So you can buy a detail gift card or certificate. Trucks are normally $300 for 150. Cars are normally $250. It's $150. So you can use them anytime. There's no expiration date. There's Dub Peacock. So we're ready over here. We're on go. We're just the last stuff that comes in. We're ready to jump on it immediately. Like I say, Sandy Flowers came down here and spent the day yesterday sorting all the toys and stuff out. Ginger is coming to decorate the tree today. I wonder what happened to those other... Hold on. We had a bunch of decorations here. Yeah, there they are. I was going to say, I hope that they didn't get pitched in the other stuff. How do you what? Send me a... We can do it all over the phone. Michelle. Direct message me your cell phone number. Or here, I'll give you mine. Brittany, write down my cell, please. It's 817-965-2626. You can call me after I go off this live video, and I'll get you set up. Our Cleburne group. Yes, I know y'all are coming around between 1:30 and 2. And she wants to ask a question if I know anything about what? Oh yeah, I know about it. My dad was in cahoots with them. She is asking about a person that was a hemophiliac. That was he used to be a trick rider, rodeo trick rider. His name was Louis Tyndall, Louis Tindall. He was murdered November 26th. He died at City County Hospital. Here's his story. Louis and his wife Opal were rodeo trick riders. They went on the rodeo circuit, and in fact, he had a lot of run-ins with the people running the Fort Worth Fat Stock Show back then. But Louis and my dad were two of the people that ran the numbers racket here. Today we call it a lottery. Back then it was a numbers racket. You go to jail for it. They each had about 150 runners, which they would go to beauty shops, little gas stations, whatever. You played nickel, dime, quarter, 50 cents. They had a lot of winners. How they chose their winners was you got the newspaper and it was the last 4 or 5 digits off the closing of the New York Stock Exchange. So anyway, Louis was a bad guy. All of those guys were bad guys, my dad included. If y'all know where the River Oaks Dental place is on River Oaks Boulevard and Roberts Cutoff, if you turn right there, if you're going towards the Air Force Base, on the left is that River Oaks Dental Lab. There's a big T in the chimney. That's for Louis Tyndall. That was his home. And directly behind that house, or that business now, was where Tad Lucas had 2 or 3 acres there. Tad and Mitzi Lucas, they were rodeo trick riders. Her and Mitzi both are in the Cowgirl Hall of Fame. There's a lot of pictures in the Cowgirl Hall of Fame of Lewis Tyndall's wife, Opal. So anyway, here's the deal. Of course, all of those gangsters made enemies within the gangster ranks. And so Lewis had really ticked off 2 or 3 people. Lewis was connected with George Wilderspin and Benny. Benny was the guy that was my dad's boss. Not Benny, George Wilderspin. They all had one thing in common, the horse business. So how Lewis got involved in all of this, like I say, he was a rodeo trick rider, and he was somewhere, I think, in Montana or something, and he got thrown off a horse, and he started bleeding. They couldn't stop the bleeding, so they rushed him to the hospital, and lo and behold, the next day or that day, the doctor said, "Sir, you're going to need to find another profession. You're a hemophiliac. You cut yourself or something and you'll bleed to death." So Lewis came back to Fort Worth, and George Wilderspin and him were good friends. All of those guys hung out at the Swanky Shack. That's where they ate lunch every day. Or Vivian's up on Jacksboro Highway. Or the Feeding Trough over on 25th that Pinky Chenault had. So George said, "Hey, we need somebody to run half the runners." So between Lewis and my dad, they ran 300 runners that would go to these little bitty stores and let somebody pick their numbers and take their nickels, dimes, or quarters. So Lewis had made a lot of enemies, and those gangsters were always infighting for the gambling money. So at the time, the gambling in Fort Worth and most of Dallas was controlled by Benny. When Diamond died, a guy named Diamond, he was over in Dallas, and that was Benny's mentor. So Benny, and by himself, was controlling all the gambling in the 2 cities. Then Carlos Marcello out of New Orleans came in, and it wasn't 50-50, it was 70-30, I think. Benny got 70 and Marcello got 30. So anyway, to make a long story short, they were Lewis and Opal. Their normal routine was they would eat at that, like, M&M Steakhouse, different steakhouses. So when they would come home, they lived in the 5400 block of Byers after they got out of the house over on, really the house on Roberts Cutoff and River Oaks Boulevard was Lewis and his first wife. Lewis and Opal lived in the 5400 block of Byers off Camp Bowie. So they ate out every meal in the evening. Now, I don't know how they did their lunch or breakfast. They both carried a .44 caliber revolver, and so when they would come home, their standard MO would be Lewis would stay in the Cadillac, and Opal would get out and walk around the house with her .44 because they knew people were gunning for them. Well, on the 20th or 21st, he died on the 26th. Maybe it was the 24th because he bled for 2 days. They pulled up in front of the house. They'd eaten downtown and watched a picture show. Opal got out of the car. She hadn't gone but about 2 steps, and shots rang out. A shotgun. That's why it led me to believe my dad, that was his choice of weapons. Anyway, so it shattered the glass in the Cadillac. Opal turned around, and she didn't know what the hell was going on. She hollers out, "Lewis, I didn't fire a shot." Their code was if she went around the back of the house and saw somebody there or something, she would fire a shot. And then before she could say another word, 3 pistol shots, and one of them got lodged in the car seat. One of them he carried a long billfold. A lot of those guys did back then, in their breast pocket. And so that bullet was absorbed mostly by that wallet, because I'm sure it was full of $100 bills. But the third punctured his lung. Opal carried him immediately. The shooters ran off. They never did identify him. They never identified any of them in any of those gangland shootings. And I think the reason why is they didn't care who did it. That just saved them extra work of trying to chase these guys down. So she rushes him to City County, which later became Peter Smith. And the doctors got the bleeding stopped. And then on the night of the 25th, I'm trying to think, I'm pulling it up in my mind. On the night of the 25th, around 8 or 9 at night, the bleeding had stopped, and they said, it's unbelievable, we can't figure it out. He had a spasm and started coughing, and it ripped the stitches open. And so early on the 26th of November 1944, Lewis Tyndall passed away. But yeah, he was a bad guy. All those guys were bad guys. So anyway, the one thing they all had in common was the horse business. They all had horses. My dad had two that his father gave him. They ran them out at Arlington Downs and Ruidoso. So anyway, that's the story of Lewis Tyndall, Lewis and Opal. Now, I was telling you about his first wife. All of those guys had a connection with the police department, all of them. Lon Evans used to tell me, he said, Butch, that's just what your dad does. I mean, they don't shoot innocents. There's no drive-by shootings. So, Lewis, his first wife, when they went and got a divorce, the judge downtown awarded her that house that's now River Oaks Dental Lab, full ownership of that house, because Lewis told him that he was a plumber's helper and made $75 a week. I mean, in the trial, in the divorce case, his first wife said he's lying SOB. He runs part of a big numbers racket, and he's always got thousands of dollars. So there was alimony back then, and so the judge said, you cannot go in that house, and you need to pay her like $100 a week or something, which was huge money. You could buy a new car for less than $1,000. I think he had to pay her, maybe it was $100 every month. Anyway, Lewis would take a few drinks, and so he was dating Opal at the time, but she wasn't with him. But one night he went over to the old house to get his clothes. He was a fancy dresser, and his ex-wife said, you're not allowed in here, yada yada yada. And Lewis had gone to her mother was there too. Lewis had gone to the back bedroom closet, and the front closet he had stacked up a bunch of shirts, silk shirts over a sofa, and his first wife got a bunch of scissors and started cutting them up, so they went Fist City. The mother came out of the back, and Lewis hit her. He broke her arm, and he had hit his wife a bunch. So the cops come, and the cops were there, and Lewis said, hold on, before y'all take me off, I'm going to call my doctor and have him come over here and set her arm. And they did. The cops, instead of arresting him on the spot, they said, well, how far is he away? And so anyway, in about an hour, Lewis's doctor had set his mother-in-law's broken arm, and then they took him to jail, but he never was booked in. So that's the way it went down back then. The police would, if they knew you, if you had a relationship with them, they'd take you away, and everybody'd think, well, they're gone, they're taking him to jail. Well, they'd take him to somewhere else or to another car. So that's the story of Lewis Tyndall and his wife Opal. Now his wife, she died later, much later. But yeah, they both carried 44 long barrel Colts. So does that, yeah, she says that's good. Yeah, you can see that tea. It's in that chimney. Because when I did my driving history lessons, I'd drive to different locations. We'd go to the Hanging Tree down on Cold Springs Road and different points of interest with the gangsters until it got so big the caravan would be 40 cars and that was a traffic jam. But I used to take people over there, and one evening there was a guy, I guess he was the owner, he was in there doing his books, and he said, "What do you come by here and always pointing into this house or this business?" And I said, "It used to be the home of one of the gangsters here in town." He didn't know anything about it. He does now. But anyway, River Oaks was a haven. River Oaks and Richland Hills both. They were away from the, River Oaks was kind of a little town on its own, and the police over there just, I'm not saying they were on the take, but back when they had these sealed indictments in 1950, really 1951, they proved that from the police chief all the way down, they were all on the take. Okay, so enough of the gangster stuff. We need toys, people. Toys or money or something. Just come by and drop them off. Don't try to get them shipped. That ain't gonna work. Because we're 72 hours and 16 minutes away from being non-stop over there at Farrington Field. My estimate is there'll be 3,000 or 4,000 cars over there. That's one reason I want to get it started as early as I can to cut down on the traffic jam. That is the Saturday. After this Saturday, there's only, one or two more Saturdays before Christmas, so I always try to have it a few days so people can still do their shopping. The rule is one bike per vehicle, and the way it looks now is you got a bike and a helmet. We got plenty of helmets, and it looks now, Sandy and I conferred yesterday, probably 2 toys per car. The line actually will start on Friday. It always does. In 2019, when I had it here, we had it here 2019 and 2020. When I left on Friday at 4 o'clock, there was already 15 or 16 cars in line. So that just goes to show you that people are desperate for some assistance, and that's what we do. That's our thing. So it's going to be a great event. If you have said that you're going to be a volunteer, but now it might rain, don't do that. If it starts raining a little bit or misting, you can go sit in the car until it'll stop. But the odds are that it might not happen. I can't get the weather deal that I've got. Of course, everybody's got a different one. Mine says Saturday now 65%. And the low is 41 and the high is 69. No, that's Saturday. But it doesn't say, yeah, here it is. Chance of participation. Okay, it says that, it says it's going to happen between 12 at night and 6 in the morning. So maybe it'll be gone, but it says at 12 noon it's going to not happen. It probably won't rain. It'll change 10 times between now and then. But regardless, if it rains or snows, we're giving away 1,400 bikes, toys, and helmets. We don't ask any paperwork. We don't even ask your name. In fact, we want as little interaction as we can to keep those lines moving. So when you pull up in your car, there'll be what I call order takers, and they'll have some kind of a marker that they mark on your windshield, which washes off. They'll ask you for the bike, is it for a girl or a boy? And then they'll arrow up or arrow down either ages 8, 9, or 10. In other words, do we need a bike for a little kid, training wheels, or if it's a tricycle, we put TRI. So then they also ask you, so a car might say, well, I've got 2 kids. I'll need a bike for my daughter, and she's 13, so that's going to be a 20-inch bike or something. And then the 2 toys for my son, and he's 9. So then it'll be arrowed down, and the volunteers will go by that code and put those in your car. People do not get to get out of their car. It's not a look at the toy. Hey, I want that one over. It's none of that. The lines have to keep moving, because if they don't, we'll never get out of there. So anyway, I guess that lady, you can call me in a minute. My number is 817-965-2626, Michelle. So I'm going to go off for a minute and start sorting stuff out, and I will be back later. Have a good one.